Hey, it's Chris Carlisle, and welcome to this week's episode of the podcast, Highways and Byways. This week's episode is about the tornado that hit Temple last week. I had just gone over to my sister's when she told me that she had sent me a text that there was a tornado warning for Temple. Of course, driving, I wasn't able to respond to it. So I had gone there to dry some of my clothes because I don't have a dryer in my apartment. So I put the clothes on to dry. We sat down and watched to watch an episode of The Voice on Peacock. When the lights started flickering and we hear the wind starting to blow outside, and we at that moment got up and went to the laundry room there at our house. And as we were going to the laundry room, the lights went out. We could hear the sound of the tornado outside the house, and you could feel walls shaking. When it was over with, we went outside to look at the damage, and so were other people in the neighborhood. Their trash can was blown away, leaving only the trash bags and the lid. I had to park my car behind it, by the way. They had a cement flower pot, which had been hard for even my brother-in-law to move, and he's a big guy. But it had been turned over. There was a tree that had been knocked down in the house next door, and their tree in their backyard had fallen down, and so had their fence. Oh, and the power was, like I said earlier, the power went out. We found out that the power wouldn't be back on until late that night. So we got in my brother-in-law's pickup, and went over to Belton to get something to eat. We ate at a Mexican food restaurant. We couldn't find... Temple was pretty much devastated, if you will, with power lines and stoplights out. So we went and ate at a Mexican restaurant in Belton. I had shrimp enchiladas, by the way. After we got back home, we found out that power wouldn't be back on until 3 a.m., so I decided to spend the night. They had blocked off the highway that was close to their house, and of course there were reports of power lines, so I live close to Airport Road, Highway 30, Texas 36, and there might have been power lines down. I also didn't know what the shape of my apartment was. There's a big tree in front of my unit. A branch of it had broken off during an ice storm and fell and blocked the walkway. When I got up the next morning, my sister told me that they wouldn't have power on again until later that day, or late that night. They finally got it back on a few days later. So I headed back to my apartment. The damage wasn't all that bad over here. I saw the damage as I was driving down West Adams. Stores, demolished. The stoplights were out. A kitten jumped out of a car. The people in it managed to go and get it. There were some eating places that had just opened recently. Chipotle Mexican Grill, a Baja Subs, a Salad to Go, and some others. But as I went further down Adams, the power was still on, and the businesses there were still open. And so was my apartment. Was the only damage really was some twigs in the parking lot and some leaves. Some of the houses right next to the apartment had some tree limbs blow down. There's also a VFW Hall 1820, I believe, here in Temple. Actually, it's just outside my apartment. I can walk over there. That's where they do it's the polling place for elections. There's an awning at the front of it by the entrance, and it was caved in. That's really the only major damage over here. And our power was still on. I texted my sister and told her that we must be on a different grid because back when they had the ice storm a few years ago, they lost power, but I didn't. Now my internet had been off on cable, and it was just coming on as I got back. And it rained again also Thursday, and I mainly stayed home and watched TV. And I ate a Chex Mix peanut butter bar for breakfast with some iced coffee. Then for lunch I had a fish sandwich, and I had burritos for supper. I went back to work Friday. There was some damage along I-35, US 90, and Texas 36. There was also a team from ServPro which had set up a staging area at the Lowe's next to the mall. Or there was another tornado near Little River Academy. A task force has been launched in Temple to help residents connect to resources. There were some injuries reported, but there were no deaths, fortunately. A canopy at an Exxon station fell on a pickup truck, but the driver is okay. He was able to get out. Also, a mobile home in Bruceville Eddy was picked up and spun around and then slammed onto the nearby house, but the people in it are okay. The 130-year-old Dias Grove Baptist Church in Temple was damaged in the tornado. Water and food were handed out at Lake Belton High on Thursday. The Temple and Belton Chambers of Commerce have come together to urge residents to donate to a Central Relief Fund. The clearing of roads has delayed trash pickup. A youth baseball team from Salado has helped with the tornado victims. Central Texas residents have been urged to report property damage in order to so the county can receive state and federal funds. Bell and other counties, Falls, Coryell, and others that may have been affected by the storm. U-Haul has offered a free month of service for tornado victims. Some organizations have come in to help, and those organizations are the Red Cross, a group called Texans on a Mission, Samaritan's Purse, a group run by Franklin Graham, a group called Minuteman Disaster Response, and Billy Graham, the Evangelistic Association. Space for displaced families has been provided by Family Promise of Bell County. Folks in Heineheimer have come together after the tornado that hit near Little River Academy. A Facebook group has been created to connect storm victims with those who are willing to donate, give support, and provide services. Farmers and ranchers in Bell County are urged to report storm damage. I'll have more news in a minute. In other news, Memorial Day was on Monday. American Legion Post 133 in Temple added names to its wall everlasting, honoring those who sacrificed their lives for our freedoms. VFW Post 1037 from Lake Belton put flags on graves of veterans that are buried at Temple Gardens of Heroes Cemetery. Texas Governor Greg Abbott attended a Memorial Day ceremony at the Central Texas State Veterans Cemetery in Killeen. Don Smith from Killeen received a Killeen Star. Mr. Smith is a Vietnam veteran and often attends city council meetings in Killeen. Bell County is still under review for FEMA assistance. Two schools in San Antonio canceled classes after the AC shut down. A sixth grader from San Antonio is going to compete in the Scripps National Spelling Bee this week. A Memorial Day ceremony was held at Fort Sam, Houston. A disaster has been declared in Dallas County after storms there on Tuesday morning. Homes that are without power in DFW could see extended power outages. Neighbors in Irving have pulled together to move fallen trees from roads and yards. A mosquito pool tested positive for West Nile virus in Travis County. A new bridge has built in Austin over Waller Creek. Strep and pink eye and more viruses are popping up in Houston. There was some severe weather in East Texas, and this knocked down trees onto homes and roads. In the Panhandle, residents are prepping for the state's next big wildfire. Texas Tech established a chair of rural education after receiving a generous donation. And in the Rio Grande Valley, water levels are dropped. There were some tornadoes in Cook County near Dallas, and unfortunately 7 people lost their lives. I remember the 1997 Gerald tornado, and the last Monday was the anniversary of that. That one hit there back in 1989 when I was working at KCRM Radio in Cameron. Of course, a lot of bad weather this time of year anyway, and there was the school was getting out and summer's about to start, and we had a few weeks of bad weather after that tornado in Jarrow. A few weeks after that, a friend of one of the other DJs had a camper get blown off his pickup. Our station manager and program director called the NBC affiliate in Temple to see if they could confirm that there had been a tornado in Milam County. Apparently it was only high winds. Then a few days later on the ABC Radio Network News at the hour, there was a report of a hurricane-force winds in Bell County. Also during that time, lightning struck some of our equipment and caused some problems. Last year was the 60th anniversary of the 1953 Waco tornado, which is still one of the worst tornado in Texas history. Coming up, some things that happened in Texas in 1985. Okay, here are some things that happened in Texas in 1985. Delta Airlines Flight 191 crashed at DFW Airport. 137 people got killed, 25 people got hurt. Singer Ricky Nelson got killed in a plane crash on New Year's Eve. The football program at UT Arlington was discontinued. Channel 25, KWXV in Waco went on the air as an NBC affiliate, and then became an ABC affiliate, which it still is. The following year, in early 1986, in a swap with Channel 6 KCE and TV, which had been the NBC affiliate before. The Mesquite Arena opened. The Texas Lady Longhorns basketball team won the 1984-1985 Southwest Conference Tournament. The Baylor Bears football team won the 1985 Liberty Bowl 21-7 over LSU. The Dallas Cowboys were the 1985 NFC East champions, the last division championship until 1992. The Lamar men's basketball team made the 1984-1985 NIT tournament. Future San Antonio Spurs player Sean Elliott played in the 1985 McDonald's All-American Boys basketball game at Moody Coliseum in Dallas. Baylor men's track finished third overall at the 1985 NCAA Division I Outdoor Track and Field Championship at Memorial Stadium in Austin. That's back when they had a track around the stadium. Now they run it at Mike A. Myers Track Stadium. Sam Houston State Bearcats and the Stephen F. Austin Lumberjacks football teams share the Gulf Star Conference Championship. The SMU Mustang men's basketball team made it to the 1984-1985 NCAA tournament. The Texas A&M Aggies football team won the Southwest Conference Championship and went on to beat Auburn in the 1986 Cotton Bowl. The Texas Longhorns baseball team were the runner-up in the 1985 College World Series. The Texas Tech Red Raiders men's basketball team won the 1984-1985 regular season and Southwest Conference Tournament championships and also made the NCAA tournament. Jonna Fitzgerald from Tyler was Miss Texas. Laura Martinez-Herring was Miss Texas USA and became one of the first of 5 straight Miss Texases to be crowned Miss USA. They're known as the Texas Aces. Okay, next, a ghost story from Texas. Okay, here's a ghost story from Texas. It's the famous haunted railroad tracks near San Antonio. And they say if you come across the tracks that are near San Antonio, If you stop, put your car in neutral, your car will be pushed forward. Then when you get out and take a look at the back bumper, you will see little handprints. The story is that a school bus was stalled at the crossing back in the 1930s when it was hit by a train, killing the children and the bus driver. Coming up next, a Texas roadside attraction. A Texas roadside attraction, it's Paisono Pete in Fort Stockton. It's an 11-foot tall roadrunner statue that's the second largest roadrunner statue in the world, and it's the mascot for Fort Stockton. Next, a sports legend from Texas. Okay, a sports legend from Texas. Baseball great Nolan from Alvin. He pitched for the New York Mets, California Angels, Houston Astros, and Texas Rangers. He was a member of the Mets 1969 Miracle World Series team. He is the Major League Baseball's all-time strikeout leader. He also pitched 7 no-hitters, was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1999. I got to see him pitch a few times when he was with the Astros. Before I go, here's a word from the good book. It's from the 18th Psalm, chapter 2, and it says, "The Lord is my rock and my fortress, and my deliverer, and my God, my strength, in whom I will trust, my buckler and the horn of my salvation, and my high tower." Be sure to hit the download button, leave a like and a rating, follow and subscribe on whatever platform you listen to. It's also on YouTube. I'm Chris Carlisle. I wrote, produced, and host this podcast. I do it through Spreaker. Spreaker has a lot of podcasts covering everything from arts, business, comedy, education, fiction, history, true crime, and the paranormal. You can hear them at Spreaker.com or download the Spreaker app. Thank you for listening.